Welcome to our June 6th Sunday service, a virtual celebration on the path of receptivity. We have Craig Lozzi as our practitioner of service in the house. We have Peggy Lebo, marvelous musician, in the house, and brilliant Karen Drucker in the house as well. I'm just so glad that you are choosing to share an imagination of a world that works for all beings. So please settle in and enjoy this celebration.
These are the words I have never spoken. Here's my life and the path that I must follow. This is my dream, and now I know this is a song of my soul. And now the time has come to sing the song of my soul. I've been searching all my life to find I'm already home. With one step I start this journey, and with one word I start my prayer. One hope can lift our spirits, and one touch shows love still here. And this is a song of my soul. And now the time has come to sing the song of my soul. I've been searching all my life to find I'm already home. I want my voice to speak with wisdom and to know what's true. I want my life to make a difference with everything I do. Everything I do. This is a song of my soul. And now the time has come to sing the song of my soul. I've been searching all my life, find I'm already home. Home, home. I am already home.
Yes, and absolutely good morning and welcome to the Hilltop Spiritual Center. I am Craig, your practitioner today. It's just an honor and a delight to be with you. So, as is our custom, let's just bless this service with a prayer. And just know with me that wherever we are, everywhere, always, is that divine presence we call God. It cannot be described, it cannot be named, and yet it is here right now, revealing itself as this community, as the words of Reverend Guy, as the music of Lee, as each and every one of us, for we have come here by absolutely divine appointment. We are indeed the embodiment and the expression of this thing called God. There's never distance or separation. Even if we think or believe or feel that, that is not the truth. And so we're here to affirm this truth that Spirit is, that we are part of Spirit, and that this celebration today embodies this truth in a way that is affirming to each of us, that somehow lends us inspiration and support on this thing called life as we journey through life. And so I'm knowing then that this is happening, that each of us deeply hear, feel, sense the divine in each other, in ourselves, in the words of Guy and the music. And for this, I am grateful, and so it is.
So it is.
Our reading, it is a poem from that 13th century mystic and poet, Jalaluddin Rumi. It speaks to getting beyond ourselves, and when we do, we not only access the divine directly, but in all things. It's called Empty. And like a lot of his poems, it is written as if it's the divine speaking. When you are with everyone but me, you're with no one. When you're with no one but me, you are with everyone. Instead of being with everyone, be everyone. When you become that many, you are nothing. Empty.
I invite you for today's meditation to contemplate these words from Ernest Holmes. Let them wash over you, resonate within you, and awaken your own knowing of truth. I know there is a power for good, which is responding to me and bringing into my experience everything necessary to my unfoldment, to my happiness, to my health, to my peace, and to my success. I know there is a power for good that enables me to help others and to bless the whole world. So I say quietly to myself, there is one life. That life is God. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. It is flowing through me, circulating in me. I am one with its rhythm. My heart beats with the pulsation of the universe, in serenity, in peace, and in joy. My whole physical being is animated by the Divine Spirit. And if there is anything in it that does not belong, it is cast out, for there is one perfect life in me now. And so I say to myself, I am guided daily so that I shall know what to do under every circumstance, in every situation. Divine intelligence guides me in love, in joy, and in complete self-expression. Desiring that the law of good alone shall control me, I bless and prosper everything I am doing. I multiply every activity. I accept and expect happiness and complete success. Realizing that I am one with all people, I affirm there is a silent power flowing through me and them, which blesses and heals and prospers, makes happy and glad their pathway. And realizing that the world is made up of people like myself, I bless the world and affirm that it shall come under the divine government of good. under the divine providence of love and under the divine leadership of the Supreme Intelligence. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen.
I'd like for you to imagine something with me for just a moment. Imagine that you are at Fort Sumter on the outskirts of Charleston, South Carolina. The year is 1861. The time is 4:30 a.m. And at that time, the Confederacy began firing shots onto Fort Sumter. It'd only be a matter of days before they surrendered. And 2 days after that, Abraham Lincoln called forth 75,000 volunteer troops to do what he said to quell the Southern insurrection. This was the beginning of the Civil War. In it, 1.5 million casualties. That was 2% of the population. It wasn't an immediate event. This had been brewing for quite a while. In fact, at the time that the Civil War started, and it really began over slavery, there were 4 million human beings who were slaves. The entire Southern economy was based on it. It was a bloody war. It was a terrible war. It devastated our country. And in many ways, we are still dealing with these things. But one thing grew out of it, of which we celebrated this week. It was known then as Decoration Day. We now know it to be Memorial Day. And it is a day that we honor the men and women who have lost their lives on the fields of battle. And I think this year, as we are honoring this, it's not just the beginning of summer and barbecues, but really taking maybe this week. I know it was last Sunday, but considering the energy of what that was and what it means and how relevant it is for a time such as this. Something that Elie Wiesel says is, he says, without memory, there is no culture. Without memory, there would be no civilization, no future. Something that Mark Twain says is, he says, history doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes. And there are many correlations that were happening then that are alive now. And one of the things that I think is really interesting about our wonderful country is this. We are visionaries. We have always been visionaries. It's almost woven into our national DNA. But the thing about a visionary is they are also gullible to delusion. And one could almost say that there's a level of delusionalism that's sort of brewing in our nation right now. There's a lot of things happening, with the vaccinations and states' rights and all these things that are kind of going on. It's almost as if there's a level of insanity brewing in the collective mind. And one of the most dangerous things is this idea of nationalism or Christian nationalism. Charles de Gaulle once said, patriotism is when love of your own people comes first. Nationalism, when hate for other people other than your own. And so, what I want to talk about as I weave into this talk and talk about things like our imagination and the law of attraction is that there is something that's kind of brewing afoot, an almost malignant resistance to the evolution that is wanting to take place. For me, one of my special books is Lord of the Rings, and there's this wonderful conversation that happens between the great wizard Gandalf and Frodo when it is confirmed that the ring that Frodo inherits from his uncle Bilbo is indeed the One Ring. And after they burn it in the fire and see the etchings, it is confirmed, and there is this conversation that happens, beginning with Gandalf. Always after defeat and respite, The shadow takes another shape and grows again. I wish it need not happen in my time, said Frodo. So do I, said Gandalf, and so do all who live to see such time. But that is not for them to decide. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given us. And let that sink in. All that we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given us. And so my question to you today is this. Where is your attention? How are you using the time that has been given to you? Maybe some other questions filter in with that. Maybe to sit with this idea or this question of what do I keep focusing on that keeps controlling me that I don't really feel free? Or maybe another question is, what do I keep focusing on that causes me to feel ungrounded, like I have no sense of control in my life? Because someplace in there is the fulcrum, the balance of what we're looking at. And because I think there is this national dilemma that is afoot, this sort of psychic malaise that is not only just infecting our country, but it is the world. At a collective level, the wisest thing that we can do is withdraw our energy and really begin to deal with this at the level of soul. Something that Dr. Holmes, the founder of our particular denomination, says is this, is in the process of healing, we see the condition outside and we heal it on the inside. And so my invitation then is this, is to begin to operate at the level of soul, to begin to decide what to do with the time that is yours. Saint Teresa of Avila says this, if you want to make progress on the path and ascend to places your soul has longed for, the important thing is not to think much, but to love much, and to do whatever awakens you to love. So here then is the great question. What awakens you to love? Do that. Be that. Engage in that. Whatever awakens your soul to love is the thing to do with the time that is yours. The great media guru Marshall McLuhan says this. He said, we build architecture and then architecture builds us. We create media and then media creates us. We create technology and then technology creates us. But this is the foundations of magic. Real magic. Not the eeny beeny chili beany, but the real potent part of which our whole teaching has its roots. In his book, The Introduction to the Doctrine and Ritual of High Magic, John Michael Greer in his introduction writes this, magic is a psychological process. The powers and potencies that mages evoke exist within their own minds, and the arduous training through which the apprentice becomes an adept is simply a process of learning how to use vivid symbols and symbolic acts, energized by the will to draw on capacities on consciousness that most human beings never discover for themselves. In other words, we can take what Marshall McLuhan says, we create mental images in our mind, and those mental images create us, because they create the thing that we are focused on. They create our perception of how we see, how we act, how we respond, and how that begins to create what is ours to do. And again, going back to Gandalf, where he says, despair is only for those who see the end beyond all doubt. We do not. So I'm thinking in terms of Buckminster Fuller, one of my favorite characters. And Buckminster Fuller has this great term. In fact, he used to say this. He used to say, "Call me trim tab." Now you're maybe asking, what is a trim tab? He used a ship like the Queen Mary, which is this huge seagoing vessel. Its rudder weighed 150 tons. That's enormous. It stands nearly 4 stories high. So if you think about it, that would be almost impossible to turn, like any of the great ships. But like all these great vessels, they have something at the very bottom of the rudder that's about 4 feet tall. And what that is, it's a trim tab. And you can turn the trim tab, and the trim tab creates enough low pressure drag that it begins to turn the entire vessel. It moves the rudder, and the rudder moves the ship. And so when Buckminster Fuller is referring to himself as a trim tab, he is that when he is living his authentic self, that he is creating enough low pressure drag to change the entire ship of state, the entire Queen Mary. And you know, that's for you and I to do. When we focus on the thing that we love, when we live our authentic life, when we open ourselves to that divine guidance that is luring us into the great possibilities of who we are, we become a trim tab. And in doing so, we create enough low pressure drag that we begin to change and shift. So if you want to know how to change the country, change yourself. And as enough of us are creating this trim tab of consciousness, we are beginning to steer ourselves to a better and greater future. And yes, it is difficult for us right now. And yes, it is demanding so much of us right now. But we're up for it. There is love. And in closing, I go back to the Lord of the Rings, to Haldor, who was a great elf in the land of the forest of Lothlorien. And he says this: "The world is indeed full of peril, and there are many dark places, but there is still much that is fair. And though in all lands love is now mingled with grief, it grows perhaps the greater." From Haldir in Lord of the Rings, a great elf from the land of Lothlorien. And so, my dear friends, there is much that is fair. There is much that is beautiful. There is much to love. And when our focus is on those, it grows the greater. And in doing so, creating this low pressure tab, be a trim tab, change the world, change our country, change your family, change your community, change yourself. It is here. And so, my friends, to those whom you love and those whom you receive love from, I wish you from the bottom of my heart many, many, many blessings.
Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us, above us only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Ooh, imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. nothing to kill or die for, and no religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will be as one. Imagine no possessions. I wonder if you can. No greed for hunger, a brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people sharing all the world.
I guess it's really true that music awakens love, right? So I am here just to let you know a way you can be a trim tab is by giving your talents, your time, and your treasures. And it feels like you all get fed here from what I'm seeing reflected in your faces and your enthusiasm and your joy. And it's just the way of things when you are fed to bless others. And certainly the Hilltop Center is a blessing to all of us, probably in ways we don't even realize. Certainly if you haven't availed yourself to the classes, it's just another way of diving really deep into what you hear and feel here. I absolutely can attest they're transformational. They're very practical ways to change your life, to cultivate the things that are mentioned here into your daily life, into the way you think and the things you do. It's powerful. So you can be a powerful trim tab just by supporting us financially. There's a lot of ways to do that. There's a box over there. You can put cash and checks in. You can mail checks in. And what I like to do is just through the app that's available called Donor Box, I just have a regular contribution deducted. You can have it done through your bank account, through your credit card, whatever. So this is just an encouragement to take what you receive today, let it nourish you, and then just give it back. Give it back to Hilltop, give it back to the world. And so it is.
So it is.
You know what, it just dawned on me, I sort of have a flair for the obvious, is as I'm looking out and I see all your faces. I see all your faces, like, because we've all been masked, and now we're we're sort of dropping the masks. We're still being careful. We're still being conscious. We're still being respectful. And not yet. No hugs yet. Not yet. Yeah, let's wait for that. We can bow. And I know, because we're all desperate for touch, but we can bow, we can do those kind of things. It's coming, or we can parry, or whatever that's called, plie. Yeah, be creative. Genius stands on limitation, as Emerson says. So thank you, Lee. Beautiful music as always. It's always so much fun hanging with you. Thank you, Craig. Thank you, all of you guys, for showing up. And let us just bless this day. Let us remember the things that awaken love. Let us remember those brave men and women who have fallen on the fields of battle. May their lives not be in vain. May that memory awaken love in each of us and a new imagination of a world that works for all beings, all life, a just, equitable, and sustainable home that we call Gaia, our mother. And so to those whom you love and those whom you receive love from, I wish you many, many blessings. And so it is.
You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God.
Tu es l'image de Dieu.
I hold you in my heart.
Tu es l'image de l'amour.
You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God.
Tu sei la luce di Dio.
I hold you in my heart.
Tu sei il volto dell'amore.
You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of love. The face of love. I hold you in my heart. You in my heart. You are my family. You are my family. You are the face of love. The face of love. You are the face of love. The face of love. I hold you in my heart. You in my heart. You are my family. You are my family. You are the face of love. The face of love. You are the face of God. The face of God. I hold you in my heart. You in my heart. You are a part of me. A part of me. You are the face of God. The face of God. You are the face of God.
Eres la luz de Dios.
I hold you in my heart.
Eres la cara del amor.
You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. You are the face
Tu sei la luce di Dio.
You are the face
You are the face of God.
You are the face
Tu
of
es
God.
l'image de Dieu.
You are the face
You
of
are the face of God.
You are the face
Tu
of
sei
God.
la luz de Dios.
You are the face
You
of
are the face of God.
God. You are the face
Tu
of God.
روح خدایی.
You are the face
You
of God.
are the face of God.
You are the